All right. Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're watching this. And thank you for joining. And very welcome to Ifeani. Thank you for taking the time and for presenting today. Hi, Ifeani. How is it going?
Not bad. I'm good. And you?
I'm good. I'm good as well. Yeah. Well, Tuesday it's raining all day long here. So I mean, what else? But it's good. When's the last time you played FIFA?
That would be a couple of weeks back
Okay.
with my nephew,
hmm
but I'm not half as good as he is.
yeah. I'm 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 very bad. I think I played. Oh, this is ages ago now. I have. Well, this is maybe interesting. The first video game I ever bought was FIFA 94.
Oh, cool.
So and I played that a lot on my old PC I had back. Basically, it was my dad's PC, but I kind of took over, and I played that a lot. It
Cool.
was fun. I enjoyed that. It was nice. But then I don't know. I lost it a little bit. I didn't play a FIFA game in quite a while.
Wow.
So yeah, I'll be a good victim, I guess. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to do it anymore. But maybe it's a good time to get back into it. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
it's significantly better looking and
Mm-hmm.
better in all kinds of ways. So
Yeah. Nicer graphics. Yeah.
exactly, for sure, for sure. And not the same two sound samples all the time, but
Nah.
they change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool. I know. Yeah. Again, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining. Yeah, this little intro hinted a little bit at it. I think we today we're gonna look into the FIFA 22 data set and the graph, and Ifeani is taking us through it. But before we dive into the actual data and then show some Neo4j stuff, maybe you spend a few moments and introduce yourself, who you are, what you're doing, what you're currently working on, what excites you about graphs, kind of like this kind of
Yeah.
scenario. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I work remotely as a data scientist for a social media database company,
hmm
the foremost one in Amsterdam, a social database. So I do a lot of Twitter data analysis for them. But on the side, I love to play with Neo4j. I love everything Neo4j. I love graphs. I've been into graphs for a while now. So when I came across the Neo4j graph database technology, it was a no-brainer that I just had to go into it and learn it and love it and use it. And I've not looked back ever since. So it's fun. I really love Neo4j.
That's good. That's good to hear. How did you come across it? Did
Yeah,
you?
oh,
Yeah.
yeah. It was a friend from work who told
No,
me
for
about
sure.
Neo4j. Yeah, I was like, "Do you know anything? Have you ever heard of Neo4j?" I said, "What's Neo4j?"
Yeah.
So I went quickly to Googled it, looked it up, started reading up, went to the website, reading up documents. I started watching videos on YouTube. So I started learning as much as I can about Neo4j. Then quickly I downloaded the Neo4j desktop
hmm
application, started trying my hands on stuff, loading data, and running a few very rudimentary Cypher queries. But yeah, here I am. I'm a huge Neo4j advocate.
Yeah, that's cool. That's great to hear, and thank you
Yeah.
for doing that. So, um, I I don't know. I think I saw one of your tweets a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if I can quickly find it now. I should have probably
Okay.
looked that up beforehand. Where you posted about I mean, you post a couple of Neo4j stuff, so that's always cool. And I saw your FIFA graph
Yeah.
in when did I see that? I don't know, to be honest. A couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
and seems super cool. So how did I mean how did you how did you decide to do that, and where did you come? I mean, is football like your passion, and you thought, okay, now I try to get the football data in Neo4j, or what was the connection here?
Yeah. To start with, I love football or soccer. Some people call the game. I love football. So I went to Cargo and Actually, I was browsing looking for data for some other machine learning project. So along the line, I came across the FIFA 22 data set. I looked it up, I downloaded it, and I saw the data set. I thought, well, this is a very good candidate for a Neo4j graph. So I didn't think of any other way to explore the data set other than Neo4j. So I decided to load up the data set in Neo4j and started to explore it and look at relationships among football players, their nationalities, the clubs they play for, how much they earn per week, their
Mhm.
contracts and stuff like that. So that's because I love football naturally. So it's a no-brainer to
Yeah.
download the data set. I know, take a look at it in Neo4j.
It's always great to take some data you are somewhat familiar with, if you play around with it, and if you don't really know, oh, what do I want with the data, or where do I start, or what kind of question do I ask, and then if it's some random data set you have not really any insights about and you don't really much care about, so it makes it very difficult. So that's, I think that's one of the reasons why we at Neo4j we try with the movie data set a little bit to help
Mhm.
new beginners, because more or less everybody watches movies and gets some
Yeah,
kind of idea. But this is even better, obviously, because you take a data set you're familiar with, you have questions of your own basically of it, so
yeah,
you want to explore. So it's always a great, not every, not for everything you might be interested in you will find something available, but if you find a data set, and then general tip here, if you have an interest in something, find a data set and take that
yeah,
data set and import it into Neo4j. And once you do that, you have more reason to explore the data set than with something somebody else did already or is not really up your alley.
yeah. That's so true.
So then you take the data set and you went with it and you explore it. Before before we go about and show what you did and how you and what what kind of what kind of queries you were running, did you just import it and went with it, or were there any other questions? You said, okay, now I have this data set, can I find something out that that I don't know yet? So do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, because I love football and I
Mm.
follow a lot of these football players, their clubs and country and all of that. So when I came across the data set, I was like, okay, is it possible to learn some new things? Maybe football players you never knew are related some way. Is it possible to find out such relationships? So that prompted my loading it into Neo4j and running some cipher queries to see, okay, are there relationships I have probably been missing all along that I could learn about in the course of exploring the data. So that was really it. Yeah, I know a number of them, but I was like, okay, who knows? Maybe this guy who plays for this club is
Yeah.
somewhat related to this other guy who plays for this other club and from this country. So that's what I wanted to learn new things.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So maybe we'll discover a few things later on.
Okay.
Before we do, I guess I need to ask one more football question. I think, what's your favorite club, and what's your favorite player?
Oh, cool. Very nice question. Okay. Well, I follow a couple of European football leagues, the English Premier League, obviously, the Spanish La Liga, and the
Yeah.
German Bundesliga. Um, yeah, so those three in particular. So
Hmm.
in the English Premier League, my favorite football club is Liverpool FC.
Hmm.
You never walk alone.
Yes.
Yeah. In Spain, my favorite football club is FC Barcelona.
Hmm.
And in Germany, my favorite football club is Borussia Dortmund.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
They
So,
just didn't get the championship again. It's
nah,
I'm in Munich, so Bayern Munich won again. It's
yeah,
like
they
it's
did.
almost boring now. I feel it's like
Yeah, they win all the time. So
yeah, yeah,
it's kind of well, who knows? Maybe next season, and that club might
exactly.
challenge them for the title.
Yeah.
So my favorite football player, well, at the moment, is Lionel Messi,
Hmm.
who plays for Paris Saint Germain,
Yep.
formerly for FC Barcelona. So he's my favorite football player.
Cool. Yeah, he's nice and he's very good.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah. Cool. Well, with that, I think we're ready to go.
Okay.
If internet connection is a little bit wobbly sometimes, so that's why we decided we switch off camera while we are presenting or he is presenting. So you will be able to hear obviously, but not see the webcam. But we do the the coding and we do the showcase, and then we go back and we'll be back on camera. So that's, I think, best for everybody. So to make sure that the connection stays stable, I hope that's fine for everybody. And yeah, I think you can start sharing your screen and we can move over.
Okay.
And yeah, if you have any questions while it's getting ready, if you have any questions to for us on this data set, on this presentation from today, do write it in chat, and we will find some time either in between or towards the end of the session today to answer these. So here we go. I'll get myself out of the way as well. Here we go, and then I'll put this away as well. And here we go. All right, stage is
Cool.
yours.
Okay. Can you see my screen? Okay.
Yes, perfectly.
All right. So this is the schema for the data set in Neo4j, the data model. So everything revolves around the players, and that's represented by the full name node in the center of it all. So the relationships, well, plays for club, plays as what positions the football players playing, join the club in what year, has contract expire in what year, is valued at how much, comes from which country, and wears the jersey number. Yeah, that's it. So these are the relationships in the database, and these, they all revolve around the node full name, which stands for the football players. Okay, so over here I've run one cipher query already. You can see the cipher query up here. So the cipher query essentially returns for me all football players who play for FC Barcelona. Like I said earlier, I love Barcelona Football Club, so I wanted to see, okay, who are playing for FC Barcelona, and that is the graph over there. And the cipher query is simple, it's straight to the point, and it runs fast. So then here, yeah, I wanted to know, okay, which football players come from Argentina and play for Paris Saint-Germain. I know Lionel Messi, obviously, comes from Argentina and plays for Paris Saint-Germain or PSG. But I wanted to see if there are others. I'm not so familiar with the Paris Saint-Germain Football Club, so I just was curious. Okay, let me see if there are other Argentines who play for Paris Saint-Germain, and there we are. I can see Leandro Paredes, I guess, Angel Di Maria, Mauro Icardi, and obviously Lionel Messi there. So I've written a couple of other cipher queries to help us to learn some more about the data. For example, if I want to know football players who earn a particular or who are valued at a particular range of amount in euros, I have a cipher query for that. So I'm just going to copy it from where I have written it before and paste it in the Neo4j browser. That is it. So I want to return the names of those players who are valued at least 100 million euros. So if I hit enter, yeah, it returns for me a table of those players who are valued at least 100 million euros. Frankie de Jong, Robert Lewandowski, and a host of others who are valued at that amount and beyond. So let me see. I have another cipher query here.
Quick question: value
Okay,
in this
good.
in value in this case is their total earnings up to date, or what's the value like if they would be sold to another club? Is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
what it is? Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
if they'll be sold to another club. So if another club comes calling, okay, I want to sign this player. This is like what is called their release. This is like their release clause. So if you're going to let this player go, he has to go for at least 100 million euros.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So all of these players
Yeah.
are
expensive,
valued at
expensive player. Yeah.
that.
Okay. I see.
Yeah. So they have hefty price tags. Okay. So I also wanted to find out some players who play in a particular position on the field and the countries they come from. Okay, so let me just paste the query into the Neo4j browser. Yeah, and hit enter. It's a large graph, as you can see. It's a big one. So
Oh yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, maybe
yeah,
that's something for Bloom, but
exactly.
let's yeah.
Exactly. So
So
if I, let
yeah,
me try to reduce the size of the graph and see if that helps. Yeah, it's still pretty big, but at least it loads up a little faster. So okay, all the players who play in central attacking midfield and the countries they hail from. There are so many of them, but one thing is common to all of them. They all play in the central attacking midfield for their respective football clubs. So suppose if I'm interested in learning those who play, let's say or let's say goalkeepers, for example, I'll just come over here to the South Korea and change the CAM to CK, which stands for goalkeeper. And if I run that, yeah, let me- so there's even one from Nigeria. Interesting. So these are players who play whose team are their goalkeepers and the countries they come from or they hail from. You know,
hmm
I'm interested in support strikers. Those who play in the attacking position, support strikers. Same thing, just change the position name there, and we have it. So it's a huge data set, a total of 19,000 rows a data set. So it's there's a lot of data in it. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That's a big set.
but
Yeah,
the thing I love about Neo4j is very capable of handling large volumes of data. Yeah, and pretty fast too. It's nice that because if I compare it to some other tools I've used in the past, it will take quite a while to load up this kind of graph, but it's quite fast here in Neo4j. So I really love that about the technology. So yeah, so I I have a couple some more queries I've written, but maybe I would like to explore. I'd like to explore a previous one a little bit more. So if I want to see other things that are related or other relationships connected to this particular node, Mauro Icardi from Argentina, and I click this button over here, yeah, I see other nodes pop up, but yeah, yeah, the names, the labels do not appear, but how do I go about that the other day? I'm trying to. Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah. You need to under
yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Cool. So this is just a number he wears, and let's see what he joined the club. I come over here, and so that shows. Yeah, I joined the club in 2020. Let me move this node a little bit. His contract expires in 2024. It appears he plays in the support striker role. How much does he earn in a week? He earns that's about 120 pounds, I guess, in a week. And how much is it valued at? It's valued at But that should be like 370 million euros. Yeah. So it's interesting that every time I click on a particular node, I can see extended relationships that um, are unique to that particular node. So that means I can keep on go on exploring each node and the relationships of that node and the relationships of the relationships, and it goes on and on and on and like that. So without even writing so many cipher queries, I can just take it from here and keep on exploring the graph through starting with just one node and the graph. I can escalate it and learn a lot more from from the root node. So it's nice working with Neo4j in this way. So this is just well a few of the things I've done with the FIFA data sets in Neo4j. There's a lot more a lot more relationships to explore. That would give us much more insight about the data, and I can display such relationships in tables, in graphs, and even in JSON text format. So I really love this part about Neo4j. It's almost as if the possibilities are endless when you're working with Neo4j, and that part is really cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So, did you have any other question regarding the graph? Or
We have one question: where did you get that data set, and was it necessary to pre-process any data? I think you mentioned it is from Kaggle. What
cargo? Yeah,
did you do any pre-processing before importing it into Neo4j?
yeah. The only thing I did because the data set was really, really big, very, very big. So I kind of run it, trimmed it down to the parts I'm interested in the CSV file I downloaded. So that was essentially it's the I just focused on the parts I am interested in. Okay, maybe I can just share the CSV file if I stop sharing this, and I just can just show you what the CSV file looks like.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
In the meantime, if anybody has any other questions, post it in chat.
Okay.
We can we can see and explore some more. But I guess we can go back to Neo4j in a
Yeah. So
second. Yeah,
this
go.
is the CSV file. Well, it was a lot bigger than this. So many columns, but I decided to limit it to these ones, just this ones: ID, full name, age, height, weight, nationality, value in euros, etc.
Mhm.
And all the way down, like I said, a total of about 19,000 observations. Yeah, just a little over 19,000, 19,778 observations. So it's there on Kaggle, but if anyone is interested who would like me to share this particular one with him or her, I'll be very happy to do so. I'll be do so.
Super cool. I
Yeah.
posted your Twitter in chat, and it also will be in the description of this video. So you can reach out if there is anything.
Yeah, cool.
Um, yeah.
So
Any the question I just had or just popped up in my mind was, okay, this is obviously FIFA 22, so this is the current player list.
mhm.
If I would be interested in seeing how players move about from one club to the other, is there or have moved, you could potentially enrich this with some wiki data, I guess, where you can say, okay, this is I don't know, Lionel Messi's, for example. I mean, he's not very exciting because he played for Barcelona forever, but somebody who moved about maybe a little bit in the last 5 or 10 years. Um, and then you could basically say, okay, he plays he used to play for Barcelona before. Now he
Yeah,
plays for Paris,
yeah.
and then you can give like add that dimension to the data set. I don't know if there is FIFA 21, FIFA 20, FIFA 19, FIFA 18 data sets available, so you could basically do it with that, and then you could also see like how did their wage increase? How did their value increase
Mm,
over time or decrease? I mean, somebody, if they're outgoing or not as good as they used to be, then their value would go down. So with this time dimension, I guess it could be there would be more opportunities, but that's obviously not comes out of the box with that data set. So somebody would have to connect that. But I could imagine that could be interesting. To use it as a baseline and then add additional information to it.
yeah, yeah, that's a very good idea. Well, I don't know. I'll have to check Cargo if there are older FIFA data sets there like FIFA 19, FIFA 21, and stuff like that. So if there are, of course, it would be nice to see changes over time in the data set, like players who have moved and their wage structure and how the resources have changed. So it would be nice to do so. It would be a nice project to work on
Mm.
as long as the data set's available.
Yeah, exactly. You need the data sets
Yeah.
available. Yeah,
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
connect with some other data and scrape it in.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a
Hmm.
possibility, but more complicated to do that.
Yeah.
Before you showed your graph, you said that you wanted to see if there's something that excites you or that would surprise you. Did did you find anything that was surprising? Now that we've seen the
Yes.
data a little bit.
Yes, I did. Like when a part of the graph I shared, like I was like I don't know so much about Paris Saint Germain Football Club, but I know Lionel Messi is Argentine and he plays for Paris Saint Germain. So I've always wondered, okay, there are other players who play for PSG who are also from Argentina. So by running that graph, that's a cipher query, I got to know that there are others like Mauro Icardi, Angel Di Maria, and others like that. So I could do that for other players and clubs and see which other players come from this country and play for this particular club. So it's interesting to do that. So I could do that as well, but well, because I'm a Lionel Messi fan,
Yeah,
I decided to try it on Lionel Messi's football club, right?
yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Anything else you want us to show on the FIFA graph?
Okay, let me just show you the code that I used to load the graph into Neo4j.
Hmm.
Let me quickly share my screen. Yeah. Okay. Can you see my screen? Okay.
Yep. Yes.
All right. So this is the code that I used to load the graph into Neo4j. I followed strictly the Neo4j cipher query and the rules regarding using cipher to load up data into Neo4j.
Hmm.
So I actually got this. I actually learned how to do this from the Neo4j website under cipher, and you load CSV with headers from the file. That's the FIFA CSV file, which I've it's in my Neo4j desktop already.
Hmm.
So here there's a cipher query to you know load each line of the data set as a node in Neo4j. So the full name, that's the name of the football players and their properties, like their name, their ID, their age, their height, weight, you know, then their nationality.
Lots of information here.
Yeah, yeah,
We could have looked at the tallest football players in the data set or something like that. That would have been fun.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. So the nationality, the position they play for, the club, the value euros, their relationships, the place for, he comes from, he plays as, value that, etc. So with this, I was able to get the graph up and running in Neo4j, and then I could start running some cipher queries like the ones I have here, which
Hmm.
I demonstrated a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is it. This is how to load the that CSV file into Neo4j and start querying the data with Cypher.
Yeah. And I mean, you said you learned this fairly recently. So did you find this was difficult to get behind, or to learn and to start with it, or what was your experience as a new beginner?
Well, to be very sincere, I struggled initially with it,
Hmm.
because I was thinking, okay, maybe there's going to be a drag and drop way to load data into Neo4j and into a Neo4j instance and start querying it in Cypher. But I didn't find anything like that. So there are other options, but this for me was the simplest of them all. So I I tried. I had to try before I figured it out, and I could now load data. I've loaded other data sets into other Neo4j instances. I have many others running. I mean, on my Neo4j desktop. But yeah, after many attempts, I could finally I could finally load data into
It's
Neo4j with
gotten,
Cypher.
yeah, I know what you mean. It in the beginning it can be a little bit, complicated and overwhelming almost. We recently, I think 2 weeks ago or something, or maybe three, we launched a tool called Data Importer. I posted a link in chat just now, and that
Okay.
makes it much easier to load data, because all you need to do is basically select a CSV file. So you have your CSV file, you select that, and then you draw the model inside this little window where you pick, okay, this is the node and this is how it's connected to other nodes, and then you basically say, okay, out of that CSV file, player is my central node, and I pick all the values or the properties this node should have, and then add another, club as is connected to, and then I basically select everything and it guides me through it. And then once everything is done, I have selected all my values, all my lines, and the properties from my CSV file, have modeled it into my graph model. I can then basically click import, and then either choose Neo4j desktop instance or even into Aura, and load everything up. And then I have it ready, and I don't have to mess about with all the queries and all this load CSV wrangling. So
Oh, that's
it's
nice.
it's very easy and very user friendly, I think. So, and
Oh,
if
that's
anybody is struggling, if anybody is thinking, oh, I have this CSV file, this is nice, and I want to explore it, but I struggle and I don't want to fail 50,000 times, try the data importer. It's a good user experience, especially for new people, to go for it. Yeah.
That's really cool because in the process of searching for a solution, I came across a certain tool called Arrow, if I'm correct. So
Hmm.
it's
Yes.
like yeah, it's like you create a node, you draw a connection to other nodes, and until you get your full graph. So I tried that as well, but I kind of wanted to go the hard way with
Okay,
Cypher.
fair enough.
So I decided to try the hard way, and well, here I am. I can
Yeah.
I can load data in Neo4j with Cypher, but of course, I'm going to definitely look at the data importer and use it. It's will be nice. It's
Yeah, it's
uh,
it's exactly. I mean, it's always, there's a purpose, and I mean, now you know how it works. The hardware, you can obviously go with that, and you don't find it that hard anymore. Sometimes it's easier with the data importer, just to drag and drop a few things and click through it. Um, I mean, whatever. Sometimes it's the one way, and sometimes it's the other. So
yeah.
it's like a, preference, personal preference, really, and what you want to do.
Hmm.
um, with the one thing to say, I mean, that obviously you can always share your queries out of desktop. With the data importer, you can share the whole script. So basically what you can do is you can download this whole thing as a zip file, and then share the zip file with other people, and they can then basically, what they need to do is they load or launch the data importer, import your zip file, everything
Yeah.
is ready, they just click on import, and the data gets imported into their Aura instance, for example. So yeah, exactly like Jeffrey says, the data importer makes loading really simple,
Yeah.
and so you can focus on the bigger tasks. I think that perfectly sums it up. Thank you, Jeffrey. That's a great comment. Yeah.
Yeah, and that just it's just something I really like about Neo4j because I think Neo4j. I'm not trying to be patronizing because Neo4j doesn't pay me to to run ads for them or speak for them. But part of the things I like about Neo4j is that it's like Neo4j every time proves that they take users into consideration with in every improvement or every upgrade they make to their technology, and making it a lot easier for users to jump on the Neo4j ship and start to use it. So I really love that about Neo4j, and I would definitely like to explore the data importer and see how that makes my work easier and faster.
Yeah.
So I love that about Neo4j. I must give it up to them.
That's the goal, really. Yeah, we try to improve and we try to make it easy and approachable
Yeah,
for as many people as possible. And then obviously we have an open community, so Discord server, community forums, Twitter. If you are struggling, if you have any questions, I think this is a really nice place for of people to be part of, and to
yeah.
drop in and say hi. I'm new. I have this and that problem. I'm struggling, and usually people will help you either from the Neo4j team or from the community. And usually the community is quicker than we are,
Hmm.
so you get help fairly quickly and in a good quality. So you can be sure that this is not something that gives you you know not good advice. So you can find good people and good advice on online and
Yeah,
start with it.
yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
Tony asked, can you extract a word doc into CSV? I don't think that is possible or is much sense.
Uh, not
Makes
well.
Yeah,
I don't think so. Maybe you have to, if you can copy and structure the data into a CSV file, then
yeah.
you can take it from there. But
But from
for
Excel you
Word,
can do export. So I
yeah,
guess that it makes more sense out
yeah,
of there, and or Google Sheets or whatever you use, Office 365. But yeah, from
hmm,
there you can export as CSV, and then you can take that CSV and import into Neo4j. So that's totally
yeah,
possible, and is a very valuable or very standard way of getting data in Neo4j.
hmm, yeah, yeah.
And then another question that doesn't really concern FIFA, but let's quickly take it on. Rakshak says, want to
Okay.
migrate data from Elasticsearch to Neo4j. How should I proceed for importing to Neo4j DB? I think for Elastic there should be a connection, a driver or something. I need to look that up though quickly, but I think there is some kind of, yeah, here we go. Neo4j and Elastic. This should be it. Here we go. I'll post it in chat. Have a look on our developer page here, and see there's some kind of connection, and see if that works for you. If it doesn't, then obviously, if you want to export and import, I'm sure Elastic offers some kind of export, probably potentially also CSV files, and take that CSV file and import it as usual into Neo4j.
Yeah. Speaking about that, well, I recently started to look at the
Mhm.
Neo4j Aura DB
Yep.
as Neo4j in the cloud, and well, I could only dump the movie data sets into the Neo4j Aura DB for exploration.
Yep.
So I think the Aura DB is a very good tool for running Neo4j in the cloud, and you know, maybe connecting with other client applications that you can use. So I don't know if that is kind of related to the question from Rakshak. Maybe you can try looking up the Aura DB as well. I don't know. Maybe it could help him with his course. Who
Yeah.
knows?
It could be. I mean, it all depends on the use case, and it's like many scenarios, right?
Hmm.
But you could potentially have your Elastic cloud instance and stream data. Some of it, you don't have to stream everything. Some of it over into Neo4j, and that will then create your graph, and then you have your pointers to your Elastic instance, where you do some other calculations upon that data, and then you have maybe a more insightful view on that.
Yeah.
That could be one definitely one use case scenario, and lots of people do that. So they not necessarily you have to store everything in Neo4j. You can basically stream it over and have pointers sitting there. So you can add value by having Neo4j on top of basically on your maybe even various data sets. You have one Elastic, maybe you have a Mongo, and maybe you have some relational stuff, and then you combine it with a kind of a knowledge graph or a sub super layer with Neo4j over it, and still the data sits in their respective storage systems, but by connecting it into the graph, you make a connection between these originally siloed data points.
Yeah.
So that's
Makes
a
sense.
common scenario.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to say today, or shall we wrap up?
Um, well, I'm so happy to be here. I really want to thank the Neo4j team for giving me this platform to, you know, show a little bit about my skill in Neo4j and my passion for Neo4j. And I'm really happy. And well, I tend to stay as close as possible to the Neo4j team, keeping up with updates, developments, new tools, new directions, new ways to go. And I'm an early adopter.
Yes.
I like, yeah, I'm an early adopter, so you can rest assured that I'll be quick to adopt any new developments in the Neo4j community. Anything about the Neo4j technology, I'm always there. So I, I'm so happy. Yeah, I'm happy. Thank you so much for the platform and for the occasion.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you very much for presenting, Ifeanyi. That was really cool, and I enjoyed it a lot. It was nice talking, nice conversation, and a cool data set. So thank you very much
Thank you.
for presenting this and for taking the time. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for a couple of nice questions and some fun interaction. So that was good. Um, yeah. What else can I say? I
Thank you,
hope to see
John.
you around again. Keep us posted on your Neo4j journey, definitely.
Yeah, sure, sure.
If anybody else feels inspired by this, obviously, let Ifeanyi know. I posted his Twitter in the chat, so follow him or tweet at him and exchange some thoughts. If you yourself would like to present at some point here in a Neo4j live, let me know. I try to find new presenters all the time, but so if you're interested in doing that, um, yeah, let me know. And yeah, with that, I think this is the last stream this week. Coming up is next Tuesday, same time. Is the next episode of Going Meta on ontologies and knowledge graphs, where I will be talking to Jesus, a colleague of mine. So that's taking place next Tuesday. Until that, yeah, take care, everybody. Have a good rest of your week. Thank you, Ifeanyi, again for presenting, and see you soon. Bye.